Hello, medieval students. Today we are going to work on our illuminations. Last time we were all together, I had said that I was going to give you the choice between doing the wood with the vinyl on it or the metal. I've decided that we have enough time left in the quarter. I think we can do the vinyl designs today, and then next time when we're putting our vinyl onto our wood, you'll have some time to do the metal. So we're all going to do both projects, which means that everybody needs to pay attention to what we do today, and then I will bring your pieces in for you to use next time we come to class. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with vinyl cutting, basically what it is there is a sheet of vinyl, which is like a sticker material. So the sheet is the backing and then the sticker material laid on top. I can run these sheets through a cutter, which uses the templates that I upload to the computer to move the cutting blade in a very precise pattern to cut out the shapes that you've laid out. In order to make this project feasible in the time that we have, we're going to talk about using just 3 layers of vinyl, and you're going to want to think about it as the bottom layer, the middle layer, and the top layer that you put on. So you'll put 3 layers onto your thing. The first thing you'll do is to design the bottom layer of your vinyl. This should include maybe a border and then the letter that you're going to use for your piece. When thinking about vinyl needs to be two-dimensional in shape. So for example, if I put this rectangle on here, the vinyl cutter is going to cut around the edge of this rectangle, which is going to give me this solid rectangle in the middle. If instead I want it to be a rectangular border, I would need to do something more like this, where I could use this frame shape and make it as thicker, as thin as I want it to be. And now when the vinyl cutter cuts, it's going to cut the outside of that, and then it's going to cut the inside of that. So you're really thinking about where the color is and how the vinyl is going to make that shape. And it'll cut it out so that you have the piece that's colored on your thing. For each layer, you're thinking about it just in terms of one color. So for example, in this layer, I would be loading the black vinyl into the machine, and then it would be cutting out this shape. So for mine, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do insert word art, and I'm going to make a letter M. And I'm going to put that onto the top. Now, in thinking about what the vinyl cutter can cut out, in terms of intricacy and detail, something like this would work just fine. So it'll be able to do like the thin lines here. You would be able to get this shape. However, something like, let's see. Something like this, it's going to struggle with more because of the tiny areas that it's going to have to cut out. Eventually, you would need to pick out all those little tiny pieces. So if you choose something like this, just know that you're not going to get as clean and crisp of a design, and it's not going to look as good. I'm going to get my first color set here, and then I will jump back on to show you what we are going to do next. Okay, so I got my M centered on there. I got the border on there I want. And then I'm remembering that anywhere that it's white right now is where that natural wood grain is going to show through. So I'm going to have wood in these areas, and then then black vinyl in these other areas. If there were other areas that I wanted wood to show through, I could simply layer other pieces on top of this. And then I would make them white in color to show that that's another area that I want wood to show through. So maybe I'm going to take this and move it up to these different areas as some additional decoration where wood is showing through. Okay, now I need to think about the next color that I'm putting onto this illumination. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the slide. And I'm going to lay a rectangle over the top. And the reason that I'm doing this is because when I cut out the next layer of vinyl, like I said, it's going to be like a sticker, but I kind of want to know that the pieces are going to be in the right spot. So I'm going to lay that rectangle. I'm going to go to fill color. I'm going to go to custom. And I'm going to make that fill color just a little bit transparent. And you'll be able to see now what was in the background. Make it a little bit less transparent. What was in the background so that when you design on top of that, you're really thinking about how it's going to lay on top of those other pieces. So now I'm thinking about what I want to lay on top of here as the next color. Remember, we're doing 3 colors, so as you make your choices, think about each color in kind of layering technique. So I'm going to think about maybe doing some lines or some leaf forms or a checkerboard or a triangle shape. So I'm going to start putting those shapes on here. Now, like I said previously, when you are doing this, if I just put a line on there, so if I draw just a line randomly, that line is not going to cut out. So anything I put on here needs to be two-dimensional. It needs to have some depth to it. Let's flip this. Oops. And anywhere there is a line, the vinyl machine is going to think it needs to cut. So if you don't, or anywhere there is kind of an edge to your thing. So I'm going to turn off the borders for these. Put this over here. All right, so those would be then pink pieces that are being cut out that I'm going to layer over the top of my other one. I'm thinking about what else I then would want to be pink in this design, and I can go ahead and add those things on there. I could add pink in this middle ground, I could add pink pieces in the border, whatever else I want to be pink, I would add on in this step. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to finish my pink layout, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about the last step. Okay, so I finished up my pink design. I'm going to do the same thing one more time where I'm going to duplicate. Then I'm going to take that layer and bring it to the front. So what I have so far is just in the background. And then I'm going to pick my last color and do my last layer. You can see that as I go up in layers, the shapes are getting smaller because they're going to be stuck on top of there. And then I'm also adding more detail to it. So similar to what I did this last time, I'm just going to go ahead and put my shapes on there, pick the color that I want them to be. And put them into place. Okay, so I got my green layers on there and those are set to go. The next step in that process will be that you will turn in your 3 slides to me, and I will use them on our vinyl machine to cut out the various layers. So a black layer, a pink layer, and a green layer, and then bring those pieces next time and I will show you how to transfer them to your boards. Good luck with laying out your pieces. Just remember that you need to be designing in 3 dimensions. So if, for example, you wanted a line going across this area, you really need to think about designing that line as a rectangle that has just a little bit of width to it. Because if you just design it as a single line, the vinyl cutter will just make one cut and that won't actually leave you a piece in order to use in your design. Good luck.